Satan wants you feeling like nothing is ever good enough, and he's constantly going to point out to you everything that everybody else has that you want. He's going to magnify that for you, and he's going to magnify to you what you want and you don't have. I believe that God wants you to be free from the curse of comparison, but that Satan wants you to constantly live in comparison so that nothing ever feels good enough. Do you want to hear something that makes absolutely no sense at all? But chances are you've done this or you are doing this in your life right now. I'll get into that in just a second, but first I want to ask you a question: how you deal with comparison. If you see somebody getting something that you want and you don't have, or an experience that you would like to have but you haven't had, how do you respond in your heart? Do you find that you're genuinely able to be happy for them, or that you're secretly or even outwardly jealous? In this video, I'm going to give you 4 strategies to deal with comparison. I'm Katerina. Welcome to this channel, or welcome back. The enemy is constantly putting bait out, hoping that you'll take it. He's showing you what everybody else has or seems to have, and he's constantly trying to bait you and hook you and reel you in so that you can live in dissatisfaction. The enemy can keep you on a hamster wheel as long as you continue to buy the lie that God is somehow holding out on you, or that someone else, if you only had what they had, that life would be better, you'd be happier, you'd be better off. It keeps you in perpetual want for something that you don't have, or maybe you're not even supposed to have. It keeps you in constant dissatisfaction with what you do have and who you are. And when we're constantly living in comparison, it is absolutely crazy how many sins and how many points of discontentment the enemy can get us sucked into with it. Let me just throw a few examples out for you. Jealousy, developing an inferiority complex, stress, anxiety, depression, unhappiness, greed, to name but a few. On the other side, there's a different list: pride, arrogance, sense of superiority, conceit, vanity, and loads more. If we give in to the temptation of comparison, the enemy can lead us down all sorts of bad paths in our mind and in our actions. So, getting back to the very first sentence about something that makes absolutely no sense at all, and chances are you've probably done this in your life or you're doing it now. We're living in a culture where apparently we're supposed to have absolutely everything at all times, even if it's unreasonable or unrealistic. The problem is, this is without taking into account what stage of life a person is at, or what the cost was or is to acquire something that you're supposed to apparently have, or be, or do. That makes a lot of sense. Here's an example. You can have a woman who is running around, changing diapers, has a bunch of small children, she's trying to tend to them, tend to her household, tend to her husband. She's recovering after giving birth maybe. She's not getting enough sleep at night. And at that stage in life, she might be comparing herself to a 21-year-old Instagram model who's never had a child, who's never given birth, who gets better sleep and has time to do her hair and her makeup and keep her home nice. And this woman who has got like a bunch of children, is running around, can hardly get 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep, is feeling like she needs to look at that woman and comparing herself and feeling inferior about her body and her looks and everything else, because she's comparing herself to an unrealistic and a different stage in life. And the crazy part is, that woman who's 21, who's an Instagram model, she might be secretly longing to be married and have a family and have children and have what the other woman has. It's madness. Nobody can win in this game. We can get caught up literally comparing anything. Where you live, your house, your apartment, how nice is it? How big is it? What's your square footage? Do you have a vehicle? Do you have several vehicles? How nice is your car? How much money do you earn? How much money do you have to spend? Your kids, their behavior, their grades, what they're accomplishing, your spouse. Are they earning more than someone else, or are they earning less than someone else's spouse? It can get really ugly. Traveling, is someone else traveling more than you? Or how many stars was your resort compared to theirs? And oh my goodness, don't get me started about this next one. Appearance. This one has seemingly no end. Size, weight, body shape, curves, lack of curves, muscles, not enough, too much. Are your legs long enough? Hair, facial features, this goes on and on and on. Your eyebrows, your eyelashes. Oh, someone else has better lashes than you. Your eyebrows are too thick? Oh, you don't have enough. Your nose, it's too pudgy, it's too small, it's too big, it's too wide. Or your cheekbones aren't quite high enough. That's okay, get some contouring makeup, we can fix all of that. Your chin protrudes a little too much, or you don't have a chin. Your forehead is too big. This never ends, and it is insanity. Satan wants you feeling like nothing is ever good enough, and he's constantly going to point out to you everything that everybody else has that you want. He's going to magnify that for you, and he's going to magnify to you what you want and you don't have. It breeds distrust in your relationship with God. It's that original lie. Somehow he wants you to believe that God is holding out on you. Your life would be so much better if only you had what someone else has. I'm going to share an embarrassing story with you because why not? When my husband and I were newly married and were studying overseas, we had like next to no money. We needed to buy some food and we only had the equivalent of literally like a few precious little few dollars. And we lived quite a distance away from the grocery store. And so it was too far to walk to the grocery store in the winter time with all the snow. We're like, okay, we're hungry, we have to get to the grocery store, but we don't have enough money to take the bus and buy food. So how are we gonna get to the grocery store in the cold Scandinavian winter and still be able to get food? So our only option that we could think of at the time was borrowing a bike that somebody was willing to lend us. But you haven't seen this bike. This bike, it was super heavy and it was like the European with like the handlebars out here, European bike, and it was a 50-year-old antique red beast of a bike. So the only thing that we could afford to buy at the store was a few cans of the cheapest beans they had. So it was really cold with the minus temperatures. There was snow on the ground and there was snow coming down also. So imagine this with me, if you will. The two of us are on this pedal bike. My husband is on the front of this red, heavy-duty, 50-year-old antique bike, struggling through the Scandinavian negative temperatures and the snow on the ground and the snow coming down, while his new bride is sitting on the back of the bike and he's standing up to try to pedal forward through the elements with his bride on the back, carrying the cheapest beans they could find at the store. As he's struggling to pedal us forward in the snow with me sitting on the back holding the cans of beans, we hear this honking and we turn and look to the right, and our friends who had a newer, nice vehicle, they had it packed full of our friends in this nice, warm car in the winter. And as they're passing by and they see us in this ridiculous scene, as we're on this like antique with me carrying a few cans on the back because we can't afford to take the bus, and everybody in the vehicle points at us, all of our friends start pointing at us, and they're just busting a gut laughing. As my husband sees all of our friends pointing and laughing at us in their nice new vehicle, and we're on this 50-year-old antique bike, I just hear from the front, he goes, "It's not funny." It was hilarious, actually. It was like this strange mix of being hilarious and humiliating and evoking a sense of jealousy, kind of all mixed up in one crazy package. Subscribe if you're enjoying this video so far. Okay, let's discuss those strategies I mentioned. The reason we're not to compare ourselves is because either you compare your weaknesses with somebody else's strengths and you come out insecure, inferior, depressed, unhappy, and you can't win because you're comparing your weakness with someone else's strength, or an area that you maybe haven't developed yet with something else in someone else that they've maybe spent a significant amount of time developing. Or on the flip side, we end up comparing our strengths or something that we're gifted in with someone else's weakness. And if we play that comparison game, we can end up in pridefulness, a sense of superiority, conceit, or feeling like we're better than we are, or that we're better than other people. So both of those are really unhealthy things. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3 says, "For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself." Strategy number 1, recognize that comparison is a curse, whether you're comparing your weakness with another person's strength or your strength with another person's weakness. Catch yourself if you find yourself doing either of those and recognize that both of those things are traps of the enemy. I remember when I was engaged saying, "Oh, if only I was married. I can't wait to be married." And somebody said to me, "Don't wish this time away. You'll only ever be engaged once in your life. It's only a precious short season of your life. Don't wish it away. Once you're married, you'll be married for the rest of your life. Enjoy the season that you're in right now." We can also end up comparing our seasons with other people's seasons in life, and that too can cause discontentment, which is also a trap. Psalm 34:1 says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth." The next strategy is learn contentment with where you're at and what you have in your life right now. Praise God for what you have right now. Just like in the story with the 50-year-old antique bike, ask yourself this question now. Is it possible that in the future you're going to look back on what you're going through now and actually be able to laugh about it? Or is a good story going to come from it? Life strategy number 3, learn to be able to laugh at yourself. If you're going to be able to laugh in the future, learn to be able to be a little more lighthearted and to be able to laugh at your situation right now. And finally, here's the most important thing that God has taught me. In Romans chapter 12, verse 15, it says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice." Ask God, especially if you're struggling with jealousy in comparison or feeling inferior or depressed because of comparisons, ask God to help you to be authentically, genuinely content with what you have right now. That doesn't mean your situation is easy right now, but it means that there is grace available to you from God to help you to find contentment in your situation, no matter what it is. Even if you don't have the situation or the thing that you're hoping for, praying for, or wanting for right now, I really believe God's grace will find you there. I believe that God can bless us more easily when our heart is in the right place towards others. So life strategy number 4 in dealing with comparison is to ask God to give you a heart that can genuinely be happy for other people when God is blessing them, regardless if you'll ever have that thing or not. Ask God to help you to authentically and genuinely be able to rejoice with those who rejoice and to be happy for others. Your heart will be blessed, your life will be blessed, and you will be able to find more contentment in what you have when you can celebrate the victories in the lives of others. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you.